Hey y'all, so last night, Abandoned Desert did go to Jerome, Arizona. We did do a tour. It was me with two other gals that enjoy the same sort of stuff. We did have a good time. The tour was supposed to be about an hour and 15 minutes, and we were supposed to hit up about 5 or 6 different places. One of the places is the Jerome High School, which was a somewhere that I've been wanting to go for a very long time. But we ended up going to only 3 places. The 3 places that we did go to ended up not being on the itinerary to go. But the company that we went through was a decent company in my opinion, but we did have a bad experience due to 4 members that did go and that were part of our group. They were drunk and they were talking over the tour guide a lot, and that kind of like gave me a bad impression, not necessarily on the tour company, but just kind of salted my experience with them, unfortunately. I'm not saying that the tour guide was bad at all. That is nothing that I'm stating. But I kind of was expecting a little bit more than what ended up happening. But we ended up showing up a little, we didn't show up to the tour late, but we ended up getting there late to Jerome a little bit later than we had expected and was planning. We were hoping to get there sooner so then that way I could do my intro, but some stuff came up, so unfortunately that didn't work out for me. But sometimes we have to roll with the punches, and I have no problem doing that. But as for Jerome is another historical place in Arizona that I absolutely love, a place that I enjoy going to, and I will be going back, and I will be going to a different company. Somebody who I actually know, didn't realize that they were up there at the time until last night after we had our tour. So I will be going back through them. And I will be posting a video through them, so you'll have a double take of Jerome, but nothing wrong with that. So I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks.
What's your name? How did you die? Just stuff like that.
Out loud, or I can hear you.
Out loud, just as loud as right now. You don't have to press any buttons. You don't have to speak into this like this. Just talk out loud and I'll hear you. So once again, these will all be set up. You don't have to turn them on. You don't have to hold any buttons. Just hold it and you're good to go the entire tour. It'll be that simple. Now, I do recommend you wait 10 seconds in between questioning. They are slow to respond. So if you ask too many questions too quickly, the conversation will be convoluted. Last thing we always say is we can't guarantee any activity. We never can. The ghosts are not on my payroll. We call it ghost hunting for a reason. It's kind of like fishing. Sometimes the fish are biting, sometimes they're not, or going hunting for deer. It's the same idea. We generally do at least get voices who will tell us their name, how they died, how old they are. Whether you get full-blown conversations or not, that's always the unknown. We never know when or where that's going to happen. With that being said, I'm going to start passing out some equipment.
Well, we need to hear other people's stuff.
If you're standing close enough, of course.
Yeah.
Place to find parking and or a space to turn around in the boat. However, I've gotten quite good at finding these places. So, first thing I like to talk about is, how many of us have been here to Jerome before? Can I get an eye for that?
Hi.
Aye. So a lot of people in here have been to Jerome. Are there any first timers? Can I get an eye?
Hi.
Okay, cool. So we got a couple of people here for their first time as well. Well, I like to tell all those first timers a little bit of history just to get them started. It helps them gauge their questions. Obviously, can't ask too many questions about a place that we haven't been, before. So I'm here to provide that information as well. First thing I like to talk about is this town was notoriously known in its heyday for being one of the largest copper mining towns in the world. They pulled over $2 billion of copper out of this town. Operations started in the late 1800s and went until about 1953 is whenever the mines closed. So any ideas on what the population may have been in its peak operational days versus now, I'll give you a little hint on what it is now. It is 450 people. That's an oddly specific hint, so I helped you guys out a lot. I'm one of those 450 people. Who else, has a guess on what it may have been in its peak operational days?
20,000.
20,000? That's also an oddly specific guess.
2,500.
And it's oddly right as well. There was about 20,000 people here. It could fluctuate to even 25 to 30 or
The
something.
voices told me that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Really? Interesting. Well, so if you can imagine, that's a lot of people up here. Now let's just say that the turnover rate in the mines was rather high,
Yeah.
meaning that there's a lot of people who died in the mines.
Yeah.
The average was about 7 per day, but that's just what they recorded on paper. It's probably twice that, to be honest. So, that's probably hundreds of deaths per week. So I like to say that as well, just to paint a good picture. Also, another thing I like to point out is besides working in the mine, there was a few other things that happened. There was 4 major fires that happened in the late 1800s that burnt down most of the original infrastructure at the time, as well as in its peak operational days in the 30s, they were setting up to 250,000 tons of dynamite off multiple times a day, which was causing the foundation to shift, which also tore down a lot of the original infrastructure here. 90% of the original infrastructure of this town was lost in these fires or in these slides. That means anything that you see dated early 1900s, late 1800s in this town is 10% of the original infrastructure that is remaining today. So, that's the biggest visual I could paint for you guys. Pretty much anywhere we would have been going would have looked a lot different back in the day. We're going to start us off by going to the old high school here. This high school was built in 1923. People ask me why it's haunted. I don't have any particular instances of anything traumatic that happened at the high school. However, at a certain point, you could have been a senior at this high school and had a part-time job at the mine, considering you only had to be about 17 to work in the mine. So, some of these kids from the 20s and until the 50s, whenever the mines closed, could have actually been a senior and had a part-time job in the mine. So, some other things to mention about this town is this town was also besides that it was prone to burn down and fires or slides affected it greatly as well. This town was notoriously wild. There was a publisher out of New York called the New York Sun, which essentially was the New York Times' main competitor at the time, deeming this town the wickedest city in the West. That's coming out of New York in the early 1900s. Think about it. probably not by any stretch of imagination. They probably weren't that much better either. But this town had gained their attention. So it says a lot. Another little fun, interesting fact is whenever we made the flip to electricity and they found out that copper makes a great conduit for electricity, a lot of the copper that came out of this mountain was used to light the world. A lot of it went to Europe, some of it went to the White House, some of it, it was basically used everywhere whenever they made the flip, since this was one of the main copper operations at the time. One thing that I have to say before we enter into the high school is it is no longer a functional high school. The last class came out in 1975 there. There are now rooms being rented individually to different artists, sculptors, painters, musicians, things like that. We just ask that you don't try and walk in any of their spaces, don't open or slam lockers or anything like that while in there. We just try and be respectful of their spaces. As long as you guys, keep your library voices on, we do have permission to be here, just as long as we do mind their spaces, because they could be in there working. So, that being said, that's about it. this particular was not the only building, there was the other building that you saw over that way, as well as the two buildings on the other side of this one. They were all part of the high school. So this was a rather large high school. Obviously, as crazy as this town was, people were still doing the family thing, so it makes me really wonder what that dynamic would have been like. That was, not to mention that people that could have gone to this high school and been seniors at this high school could have had a part-time job and could have possibly lost their lives in this time as well. So, some things to think about as well when we go through here. With that being said, I'm just going to walk us through the levels. We have about 30 minutes to spend here. After we do that, we'll drive up and we're going to go into the Haskins house, which is one of the oldest surviving buildings in Jerome today. It used to be the miners' lodging, so I'll tell you guys about how their lives used to be and things like that. Right this way. So, you guys want to do me a favor? If you want to see if something's coming through the spirit box, there will be a volume knob on the side of that. That way it'll just light up and not ring consistently, because that might get a little monotonous. Yeah, so put all your volume down on the side of your volumes. Also helps us hear if something does come through the spirit box.
Why does it flash though? It's a fuse something.
Because it's picking up energy right now. No, you don't need all that. It's just the small one right here. That's not the heat. This guy's fine. You're good with that. These are just the ones that we use.
No, it's not coming through those. It would be coming through those boxes.
What's coming through here? Do you think?
This is picking up. It's picking up energy.
Voice is supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so someone damaged our equipment earlier because they dropped it earlier, so we had a shortage, so we had to get out and break it up amongst groups. That's why we're all here as a group, so realistically, if something's going to come through a box, we're all going to hear it or be able to share that experience. That's why we tell people not to dangle our spirit boxes, because then they break whenever they drop. So.
I'll tell you what.
You can go some.
What year? What year did you die? Is somebody here with us? I thought I heard something, but I couldn't make it out.
She said something to the box, and I couldn't make it out because she was whispering. And then I thought I heard something back.
Because I asked if somebody was here with us, and I thought I heard somebody respond, but I don't know what it was. So.
Thank you very much.
Dang, these are nice lockers. Nice old lockers. So sorry guys, we're trying to get what we can. We're upstairs right now to the second floor. Ooh, bright light.
That's why we need to listen to that. Something does come through the spirit box. Remember, we have one thing that doesn't have a physical mouth trying to talk over 11 people that do, so.
Wait.
Now we will start asking one person at a time questions because they need about 15 seconds to respond. If everybody starts asking questions all at once, the conversation will become convoluted. So somebody may ask a question.
What's your name?
Good question.
Jill.
Is your name Joe? Is there anyone else good with us?
Here we have. Are you here?
See, yeah, before we were getting the actual voice, and now it's like, which makes me feel like something's trying, but it's not like clear and concise, you know?
Maybe the upstairs. Maybe the
Outside. Oh, up high.
Should we ask the second question? You ask. Go.
Usually this is a pretty hot spot.
Music keeps on coming through his way, it sounds like. How many people are here with us? Five? You heard five? I heard five.
Hello.
So that's definitely what it's sort of
What is your name?
Is anything by your EMF?
Mom? Oh, what is it? There's a lot going on right here.
How you guys?
It's crazy how everybody's just going on.
Okay. It's funny because it's like right here, but when I move it up here, it stops. That's where I'm standing. Can I stand here? That's it. Here after. Oh, we're not. Is somebody here with us? Can you give us a name? I did ask how many were here with us.
And he just asked again.
Are you nice? I heard 5 earlier when I asked.
When he asked again, I heard a different response. That really sounded like 10.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
Back up and do the stairwell one more time on the way back up.
Alright, we're currently on the second floor, guys. was weird.
Hi.
Are you with one of these photos?
Right here.
I just don't want to be chattering outside of their place because they're in their studio right now.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just move on to this one. We do tell people if they want to take photos in this area, typically they get some words sometimes and say, so if you do, just mind your flashlight because you might blind everybody else. I've seen tons of things. I've seen shadow pictures, I've seen words, I've seen all sorts of different varieties of weird things. Did you have something?
Yeah, I was thinking I took that one picture.
I know.
Clearly said David.
Do you know David? I don't know David. Dad?
Did something just come through?
Yeah, I heard.
Something. It said David.
David Cato said David.
It was like super clear and concise.
Clearly said David.
I don't know David. Anybody know David?
I know a David.
You do?
It's my father.
You better talk to him.
My father's alive though.
You better not talk to him.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Well, we have gotten some names to hear. Is David here with us, or did it sound, was it a male that said David, or was it? Okay.
Okay.
Is your name David?
Hi.
Hi. Hello. We can hear you very clearly. Would you like to say something to us while we still can?
Said okay. She said yes.
Said okay. Yeah.
Is it okay?
What would you like to say? Seven? You said seven?
It sounded like I couldn't tell.
What does 7 mean?
Yeah, why did you say seven? There we go. Are you still here? Are you getting anything over there? Not yet.
Sounded like growling coming out of this one.
I'm so happy you said that because I thought I was hearing shit and I didn't say anything. But I thought I heard that too.
Can you be clear?
Come on up with me guys, we'll go to the next floor and I'll give you actually some stories about those people who are talking about growling. Did somebody say
I
growling?
heard growling out of hers.
So for those who are saying that they heard something about growling, pay attention because I'll be telling you a story here when we get up to the third level.
Oh, see. Mine is okay.
Because it sounds like growling. Voice back in the house.
This one.
No.
was when you had it holding out like that. When you were holding your phone away from the it sounds like clear as day growling. It's still here.
All right, we are on the third floor, guys. Some seating from the auditorium.
So we have heard like a hiss or a snarling growl here at the high school before, but it actually usually comes through like disembodied, meaning real time, not through the spirit boxes. Yes.
Oh, I think
Seriously.
I messed my box up because I turned it off on accident.
Yeah, I got it. I can correct it for you. Yeah, I messed it up that bad actually. I just need this one to be good. Yes. Are you a singer?
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know.
What say you?
Keep on hearing music.
Yeah. They said musicians, I think I'm hearing
It's okay, thank you.
I love the old fire hydrants.
Alright, you guys, we're gonna head back down to that first part of the staircase due to one, we were getting some activity down there, and also just quick on passing, back out and going back into the van. We're gonna go into the Haskins. I wanna make sure that you guys have time to experience that as well, because like I said, it's one of the oldest buildings here, still surviving in Jerome from the original times. It did burn down 3 different times. It has a bunch of different histories, so I'll be telling you guys about it, but it's really interesting, so just put it on here so that we can make sure.
Came up and then heard voices.
This is where we had a lot of activities.
Yeah. It was right where you were.
Look how windy it is right there.
I'm not the only one getting activity over there. Music came on. Lots of music on.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty interesting stuff here as well. Well, I've heard footsteps in places where there's no parking space over on the third floor. I've heard footsteps on top of the building. It's just like weird stuff that doesn't make sense.
Are you from here?
No, I'm not original. I'm from Florida originally, and then I lived in a town called Leadville, Colorado.
Leadville?
Yep.
Oh, the Denison.
Yeah, which is pretty similar to this town.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Hey?
You see the light?
What was that?
Sound like
Where did they
hey.
come from?
Neighborhoods
Here?
up on the.
Are you trying to make contact with us?
Are you trying to make contact with us?
What was that? What was that?
That was a weird sound.
Are we all on the same frequency?
Huh? Well, what was that? Whoa.
Say that again.
Sometimes we not guaranteed, that's why they say you could start getting something from there. You could be a little spoiled because not every group does, and they get mad at me like I can make them come out, and I'm like,
What to be
Nothing goes with her,
right, I'm like, you would obviously know who I was before you came here to book the tour, and obviously not even knew my name before I told you, so it's a good indicator that I can't summon ghosts, but we try our best. You
Huh?
know?
A snooze.
Is that a sneeze?
Yeah.
Bless you. Do you have an allergy? You have an allergy.
These are questions we don't know. And the ghosts sneeze. Now, what are they allergic to? Probably the living. I do like to say thank you very much.
That's freaky. Even mine's moving, and
That's
that's.
it? Right here?
Yeah, mine never moves. All of them are moving.
Yeah.
Wow. You getting anything?
No.
Still getting more frequency.
I make of it. It looks like a very fun picture.
Open?
It looks authentically transparent.
At 9.
No special effects. Yeah.
That's it.
They said the only place open after 9 is Paul's.
Paul's.
Oh, step! Don't break an ankle. A haunted hamburger is supposed to be obviously haunted.
Close at 9.
Everybody stay right here and get on the sidewalk so that
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Look at that picture. Isn't that freaky?
All right.
That's me.
I just took that. Isn't that freaky? That's me. What is going on there?
I'm sorry, I've never taken a picture like that.
Why is it?
Sometimes you can get those. No, outside. No, where were we? Outside? And why are you on the floor? This is just a little while ago. That's how we were like, what's that? That's like what it looks like. That is not, that is underneath.
When it comes to the keys, just give me 1 second.
That is for sure.
I'll step out. Don't worry about stepping out.
Step. Are we going there?
This way.
Yes, sir.
Because if part of us cross and part of us don't, then some of us end up getting separated from this traffic right here. So let's move back because they might want to come up this road too. It's a good thing to pay attention. Yeah, because we're kind of blind coming around the back. So all right, guys, where are you going?
Love haunted hamburger.
The exorcist. It looks just like this.
That's not crazy. Yeah.
This isn't good.
This is where all my friends are though.
I am. I'm trying to.
You okay, Rach?
Yeah.
Alright, I know it's kind of packed in here, but everybody gathering, don't do too much laundering. I will explain some things to you, then we can walk around in here for a little bit, and then we'll go to the other unit on the other side.
This feels really weird.
Yes.
This one's more.
There's, I think there's 2 more up there, but one of them ran to the bathroom and one is in my room. So I would say just go ahead and talk.
Alrighty. Well, that's their loss on this. This is one of my favorite places to talk about. So this is the Haskins house. This is one of the oldest surviving buildings here in Jerome. This was built in 1888. This particular building has burnt down 3 separate times. During Spanish flu, there were tunnel systems that were underneath this town. There's 84 miles of networking tunnels underneath this town. The tunnel system under this particular building was used for storage for bodies during the Spanish flu era. Whenever the incinerator couldn't keep up with how many deaths were going on, they actually had to store some of the bodies underground. Why? Because it was cooler down there and they decomposed a little less quickly. That's just like the way that things were done back then. However, there were tunnelways under here, and that's what they were used for. This wasn't too far from the house, or from the hospital. So, this was also where the miners used to live. In each one of these rooms, there would have been 3 or 4 cots. These cots were referred to as hot cots. Any ideas on why? Any guesses?
Because they were constantly hot.
Oh, you broke an egg about it. Sorry.
Got really hot here.
Because they're hot to sleep on?
Because they never had the opportunity to go cold. Because they were always being used in revolutions. So let me put it this way. The mine never closed. So the minute somebody left here and left out of their bed after getting ready, more people would come in and take those
I
spaces.
see.
So they never had the opportunity
So it was just like sleeping
this is basically
quarters.
like a flop house.
Yeah.
A space like this could be shared anywhere between 20 to 30 miners in revolutions. So, yeah, that paints a picture of their lives. That being said, the last tenants that actually did live in here, it was in the 1920s, and there was a double homicide that happened in this particular building, in this unit. So. That being said, eat your heart out, guys. You're free to walk around and check some places out, ask some questions. We'll spend like 5 minutes here, and then we'll go over to the other one, and we'll close it out from there. So that's where they used to have access to the mine, to the tunnels. They also had that on the other side as well.
Wow.
Careful, there are some cobwebs there in front of your face.
Yeah.
I know, I was thinking that. Check out the flashlight stuff.
Yeah.
Much space for like walking around.
Where's the button?
That is really creepy. Nothing's happening here. Nobody's getting any activity.
Well, the bodies are stored here, they didn't die here. I imagine there's probably a lot of negative energy from being
A lot of spider webs.
go to sleep, do the drugs, pass out, fight. What is that?
This is one of the places where they did the tunnel. It led to the tunnels, but that's part of where they also kept bodies while in store for the Spanish flu.
Right.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the tunnels, the underground.
Yeah, this place is awesome. I wouldn't
It is a sweet place.
it is.
I love doing this because you see places, like with these tours, you see places you really get to see.
That's right.
I've been wanting to go into that high school forever.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
That's what I mean.
Now it's a dream come true.
Yeah.
The pleasure was all mine. Can anybody walk in the daytime if you guys got this week?
Still has the clock.
Daytime is like public. But still mostly like if the doors are closed, people, you know,
It's kind of cool.
will not want to walk in. If the doors are
All right. Love
Wonder how
these.
those other pictures turned out then. If I was that same thing. Might want to hang out somewhere.
Hey, shine the light down this hole. How much is insulation?
Settle.
There was a woman who lived there in the early 1900s who actually drowned her child there in the next one that we're going to be going into. There's one right there. I'll show you that. So that's going to be in this next space that we are going into.
Breaking and entering right here. Why we signed the waiver?
Only the finest. So this was the other one that I was referring to that would have been one of those access tunnels as well. No longer exists, but yes, watch your step, please.
This was an access tunnel.
No,
So this was one of the access tunnels that he was talking about.
And they closed them off, I see.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
We've been told to leave before. Yeah. Sometimes, every once in a while, when I do feel like talking, we've been told to leave. We've been, yeah,
That's kind of cool.
You've been told to leave?
before. Yeah. So this was
That was
also
one of the
those
access tunnels.
to the
Before they
tunnel ways as
closed
well,
off.
the park that was on behind us.
Is that why the carpet's up?
What's that?
Is that why the carpet's up?
Well, yeah, and just because, I don't know, like, they wanted it to not look like a pile of rocks, but there's no way to not make a pile of rocks.
Not look like a pile of rocks.
So, yeah. I think they tried their best to make it look kind of like a room, but we obviously know that that was not any sort of room. It doesn't look like it was purposed for anything. It looks like a work shed at best.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, it doesn't look like it's built in 1888 from that exterior, the stucco that they stuck it over, but I'll have everybody come over this way. It would have looked a lot like this on the outside. You can see this is probably some of the bricks that were actually in the fire because of the discoloration to the rest of these, right? So these were probably the ones that got burnt in the fire. And then also, if you want to see, we won't walk in here because the floor is not all that, but I will show you guys. You guys can just walk by and take turns looking. This wall on this side would have been what the exterior also would look like.
Oh yeah, the brick.
Yep. So feel free to take a look. Just don't walk inside. I'll put the light back on for you.
So they trying to renovate this too?
Yeah, but it's probably the furthest back on the list versus the ones that are going to be more work. So we have access to them. It's not even within their 5-year plan. So we have a good minute to bring people through here, talk about it.
That's cool. Wow. British. You don't understand me very well. I do exploring, and telling me not to go makes me want to go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I just do it for your benefit. Because
No, I understand.
The floor is unsafe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be happy to have you in them. So this is what the exterior would look like. This wall that you see here. This is the whole outside of the building. Looks like underneath all that stuff. Right?
Oh, there's a bathroom.
This one was the way it's at.
I don't know, it's in the middle of the bathroom. Range hood.
To me, it looks like another bedroom. It looks like another bedroom in here.
This holds that. Yeah, these the office.
Closet.
That is so ugly.
Talk about one hell of a smallest closet.
Wardrobe.
In this particular unit in the 1920s. So,
Maybe the bathroom's not really.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, look at this. Rach. Little kid's toy, an old dog's toy.
I'm just like, okay.
An old doorknob.
That's not like a guy that Yeah. It is very heavy back here.
Yeah, that's the bathroom.
We need more spiritual
Our
pressure.
electric bill has that same stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, don't follow me. Don't follow anyone. That's what we like to say.
Don't go anywhere with me.
That could have been the woman telling us to get out, though. She could have been like, get out. You know, like, since I gave her story up, she's like, get out.
Oh, so the police when they're not even get out.
Your bottle touched it.
That's, yeah. But I thought I was hearing something out of your.
She probably was, you know?
Old light. My old house had a light like that.
Yeah. Oh, this light we have in that bathroom.
Oh no, not
We have
the
that
one
same
above your
light.
head, right there.
Oh, yeah.
That or the house that we had in that you came to had it
Yeah.
back in the 80s.
Well, they seem to be choosing her, apparently in specific, in this particular unit. They want to talk to you. She's like, oh, I'm good.
I heard something come through there.
Talk to him. No, then they're gonna follow me.
Well,
They're here. You can feel it.
Yeah.
There's like something, some with the head. There's someone with the heart. Someone with the lungs. You can feel it.
You're just a witch.
Actually.
What do you want?
alrighty, you guys, that does conclude our session here. We'll walk back up. I'll collect all the equipment from you guys in the loading zone.